Hello everyone, how are you doing? Hope you're well. Welcome to another Saturday session. Now last week I sat down with Will Duffy, the organiser of the final experiment, and asked him all the questions that I wanted to ask regarding the final experiment. This is how it went. Please do enjoy. Thanks very much.
Okay, right, Will Duffy, thanks so much for joining us. Thanks to the channel. Welcome along. How you doing?
Doing great. Thanks for having me.
No, you're welcome. You're welcome. So listen, everyone knows now what you're doing. I think I've explained it to my subscribers a lot, and I've talked about it a lot. But before we delve into it, I just want to know a bit more about you. Sort of how did you get involved in the flat v globe debate, and a bit of your backstory?
Yeah, so I currently pastor a small church just outside of Denver, Colorado. And I got into flat earth a little over 3 years ago. A friend of mine, she posted on Facebook something about flat earth. And at the time, I didn't realize flat earth was a thing.
Mhm.
So I thought maybe it was a joke, but she had a bunch of likes and hearts on her post, which didn't make sense. So I looked at the comments. They were fully supportive of what she said. And so she's my friend. So I reached out to her privately to figure out what was going on. And she was like, no, I'm a flat earther. This is a real thing. And that began my journey into this flat earth rabbit hole.
Yeah, and I'm assuming she knew all the big flat earth players on YouTube.
Yeah. The first person she turned me on to was Flat Earth Dave.
Yeah.
And then quickly after that was Eric Dubay, and the rest is history.
Yeah. I mean, there used to be a lot more. I mean, I've been in this game for 7 years now, and there were a lot more flat earth YouTubers when I started. Probably some that you wouldn't have even heard of now, but those ones just don't go away, do they? So like Flat Earth Dave and Eric Dubay and the people like that, they just seem to hang around and hang around and hang around. What out of interest, what was the post that your friend shared?
You know, that's a good question. I don't remember. Usually flat earthers like to share memes.
Yeah.
And that makes doing research difficult, because then I have to go research what's on the meme to see if it's even accurate,
Yeah.
and try to figure out what the backstory is. But I think it was something along those lines.
Yeah. So is your friend still a flat earther?
She is, yeah.
Okay.
Her name is Wendy, and she's still a flat earther. And I'm curious how she's going to react to the final experiment.
Yeah. Well, I'm curious about how a lot of people will react to it. So let's talk about it. So I've explained it a bit on my channel, but why don't you give us a rough idea exactly what it is and how you came up with the idea and how long you've been planning it for?
Yes. So for people that don't know me, which is most people, I have a history throughout my life of having really big ideas,
Okay.
big projects, things that are just incredibly difficult. One quick example, which you might appreciate, is I actually went to Oxford to look at a Bible from 1602 called the 1602 Bishop's Bible.
Okay.
And so that's the kind of lengths I will go to figure things out.
Wow.
So
you literally came to the UK to read a Bible that was older than the country you live in. That's amazing.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, that Bible is considered a national treasure. So for you guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
But anyway, so with this whole debate over the shape of the earth, I was a little bit in shock that we are in 2024 and we're still debating this.
Yeah.
And I figured something as large as the earth and something as simple as a shape, we should be able to figure out the truth here. And so I decided I was going to do something which would settle the debate. I didn't know what that would be, but I was like, I'm going to do this. I told my wife, I'm committing. This is my next big idea, which obviously she rolled her eyes at and probably was a little frustrated with. I came up with a lot of ideas just based on listening to these flat earthers, listening to the debates. The ideas didn't really pan out because there was always a problem, meaning they wouldn't accept it, or there would be a difficulty. And then I heard Flat Earth Dave, of all people, say that a 24-hour sun in Antarctica doesn't work on a flat earth, and that would prove the globe. And that was my light bulb moment. Yeah. And I said, okay, there's the answer right there. Both sides agree. The globe side says there's a 24-hour sun in Antarctica. The flat earth side says there's not. Let's just go to Antarctica and settle this thing.
Yeah. And it's a great idea. And I'll tell you now, I owe you a bit of an apology, because I originally was quite skeptical, wasn't I? When I sent my first email back, I said, like, great, honestly, good luck. But I was quite skeptical in that I didn't think it would convince anyone.
Yeah, no problem. I appreciate that. It's been a long journey, but we're making progress.
Yeah, we are. Um, so yeah, I think what I said is that the issue I had is that they would come up with reasons why there would be they would see the 24-hour sun. I don't know if you've seen the video of like the sort of half spherical like glass bowl over a flat Earth, and they shine a light through it, and like because of the huge refractive index in that glass, it makes the light bend around all of it. It's like a dome, isn't it, really? Are you expecting a lot of things like that to come from this? If indeed, they say, okay, yeah, we saw the 24-hour sun.
Possibly. What's interesting to me is that they're already making excuses, for lack of a better word, before we even go.
Yeah.
That tells me, and again, someone can correct me if I'm wrong, that tells me that they're not confident in their model. There's not a single person on the globe side who's trying to come up with a way to answer for a setting sun in Antarctica if we don't see a 24-hour sun.
Yeah.
The entire globe side is like, no, this is our model. We believe it's right. We believe you'll see a 24-hour sun. And so these ideas of reflected light and sun simulators and everything else that they've said, including that we're going to go somewhere else, they're going to, not let us open the windows on the planes, and they're going to fly us somewhere else. Like crazy excuses are already coming out.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's talk about who's actually going then. So for the flat Earth side, who've we got? We've got Jaron.
Yeah, Jaron Campanella was the first flat earther to agree to go.
Yep, and he's getting the free spot. Is that right?
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, okay. And then Whitsitt gets it's the other one?
Yeah, Austin Whitsitt is also going to go. Now he is going, and I'm actually paying for Austin as well.
Okay.
Because Jaron essentially said he wouldn't go without another flat earther.
Okay.
And he wanted it to be Austin. And so we got Austin to agree to go as well.
Okay, well that makes sense, I guess, from his side. But you also have got another flat earther going, haven't you?
Yes, her name is Lisbeth Acosta. And there's a bit of a dramatic saga that took place with her, but she's going as well. And her trip was crowdfunded by both Globers and Flat Earthers.
Yeah, so what happened there? It was a bit of a scam going on, wasn't there?
Yes. So let me explain this because it's important.
Yeah, definitely.
After TFE really started gaining momentum, people started contacting me, Globers, and they said, Will, we want to sponsor flat earthers, specific flat earthers to go.
Yeah.
And I was like, great, that's awesome. I understand where that's coming from. So I started making videos to these flat earthers saying, hey, someone's offered to pay for you. Will you accept it? And so that happened a handful of times. They were all legitimate, genuine offers. I spoke to the people. I communicated with the people. Then I got one that said, hey, Will, I want to sponsor a flat earther, but I want to make it kind of like a competition. And I thought, great. I didn't have any reason to think it was a scam or anything.
Yeah.
So I held this golden ticket competition. I allowed entries from any flat earther in the entire world. They just had to prove that they had been a flat earther for at least 2 years.
Okay.
I received 40 applications from 8 different countries spanning 5 continents. And we chose a winner. But then I found out that it was actually just a flat earther pranking me.
That's awful, isn't it? Honestly, I remember when I first found out about that. I can't remember who told me. Someone told me it was, and although I wasn't surprised because those sort of tactics I would expect, I just I wouldn't think they'd actually go through with something like that, honestly. But it's got a happy ending because now she's going. Yeah.
Yeah. So here's what happened. This flat earther actually contacted Jaron and said, hey, I'm behind this. The whole thing is a hoax. It's fake. And he thought it was funny, and he thought Jaron would get a good laugh out of it. Jaron's like, why would you do this? This is horrible. So Jaron alerted me, and I had to eat crow a bit, which is fine. But anyway, yes, very happy ending. We put up a GoFundMe. We had over 120 people donate. And then we had a Glober come in, and he just said, I'm going to pay for the rest. He wrote a check over $30,000. And so, yes, she's going, all is saved.
Brilliant. Good stuff. Good stuff. And in Jaron's defense, I've always thought of him like that. Like, there's a lot of flat earthers out there who are ethically not nice people. Jaron has always come across, although he's had his dig every now and again at me for things and stuff, which is fine, but I've always considered him to be someone who wouldn't be like that, And in his defense, he's stuck up for the right thing there, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's also he also deserves credit for being the one who has defended the globe model the best through this whole final experiment and also explained why this doesn't work on a flat Earth. So he's been the most consistently honest about the position he's held this entire time now that we're actually going to go to Antarctica.
Yeah, absolutely. There are, I mean, if I was to play devil's advocate, there are some people who would say that because of his previous dealings with certain large documentaries and figuring out things in that he might already have an inkling that something isn't right with flat Earth. But some people are saying that. That's all I'm saying. Okay, let's talk about the globe side then. So who's going for the globe?
Yeah, so Dave McKeegan is going to be going to Antarctica on the globe side. I'm paying for his trip. It's actually already paid for.
Yep.
And then there's actually a bunch of people on the globe side that are either self-funding to go or they're crowdfunding. So MC Toon is going. He's also currently crowdfunding.
Yep.
Critical Think is going. He is an Australian debunker.
Yeah, top guy, Critical Think.
He's crowdfunding. Just a random guy named Leonard William, who's a Glober. He decided to pay for himself, and he's going. And then Globy McGlobeface is crowdfunding as well, but I don't know if he's going to raise the funds or not.
Yeah, I didn't know about Globy McGlobeface. He'll be a good one. I like him. But I think Dave McKeegan is an excellent choice for Team Globe because he's such a good guy and he's really thorough in his debunkings and he's got great experience in photography. And FTFE told me he's planning on filming time-lapsing the entire 24-hour sun as well, which would be great. So that's a really good team. I want to know are you taking anyone with you, or are you just going with everyone?
I'm just going with everyone. Yeah, okay. It's a bit expensive.
So I was going to say, you're like in the middle basically, aren't you? And you're just going to have to ref everyone.
Yeah, I guess you could call me the moderator or the referee.
Yeah, well, fingers crossed, you shouldn't need to do much of that.
I should mention one other person is going, which is pretty important. So in the last couple of months, there's a political commentator in the United States. Her name is Candace Owens.
Yeah, I know of her.
And yeah, she came out and said that she was not sure if we live on a round Earth or a flat Earth.
Mm-hmm. I've seen
and
some
so
clips.
I took that as an opportunity to make her aware of the final experiment so that before she makes up her mind, she knows, hey, we're doing this test in December. She got super excited about it. She's like, this is the scientific method. Let's do this. And so she's actually sending her director with us to Antarctica to report back to her and her audience whether or not there's a 24-hour sun.
Brilliant. That will be some good exposure, certainly. I want to ask you actually about your plans for the actual the 24 hours. I mean, what's your plans on that? Are you all sort of basically just going to sit there together, or what's the plans for the actual day itself?
So the good news is we will be in Antarctica for 5 days.
Yeah.
And the purpose of that is if we only went there for one day, we might have bad weather, we might have thick cloud cover.
Sure.
And so that would kind of defeat the purpose of the experiment. So we are going to be there for 5 days. We are going in the heart of the southern summer, which is mid to late December. And so I'm really hoping that we have at least one 24-hour period in that time frame without cloud cover.
Yeah.
But anyway, the company we're using is called Antarctic Logistics and Expeditions, ALE, and they've actually set up a camp specifically for us, away from their main camp, which they said will give us better visibility because there is a mountain near the area at Union Glacier. So we're going to kind of have our own little area where we will all be together.
Nice, that's really good. So you'll be able to capture everything. So are you planning on filming the whole thing, or are you just going to rely on everyone else's footage, or what's your plan on that?
Yeah, so I like the idea of using a 360-degree camera.
Okay.
Because that will, it's actually, filming something for 24 hours that's moving is way harder than people think, right? Yeah. Flat Earthers often complain, why isn't there a video of it? And I think there are, but it's like, you go try to film something, it's very difficult, right?
Yeah.
So I like the idea of a 360-degree camera. That way we don't have to have a camera that's moving, but a 360-degree camera is actually two cameras that are stitched together.
Yeah.
And flat earthers will find that stitch and they'll say, this is a doctored video.
Yeah,
so My current plan is to have two 360-degree cameras at 90 degrees from each other to
Okay.
avoid
Get
that
it. I
claim
got it.
of there being a stitch.
Yeah, yeah. I've used to run with a 360-degree camera, and I just found the stitch is fine, but I found it difficult when I was in post-production. I was editing, and I found it difficult to manipulate the 360 image and stuff like that. So I went back to the regular video. But that sounds really good. That sounds like it's going to work really, really well. So it's a bloody good job I'm not going, because the second I would have seen that mountain, I would have tried to run up it. So, and I would have missed everything. Now, obviously, we know what's going to happen. We know there'll be a 24-hour sun. How are you expecting the flat earthers there to react to that?
Yeah, so again, I could be wrong here because I'm speculating, but I do believe the flat earthers going are not expecting to see a 24-hour sun.
I think you're right.
So, yeah, so once they do, I think they're going to be a little bit in shock.
Yep.
But I also think they're going to be willing to admit it.
Yeah.
I do think that a lot, not all of them, but I do think a lot of flat earthers are still in search of truth.
Yep.
And when they see that truth, they're going to say, okay, this is the reality of the situation.
Yeah, it would be difficult for them there to literally say or deny that it's happening. So those three, are gonna they've got no choice but to accept it. What I'm worried about is, number one, specifically Whitsitt, is he going to start talking purely about geocentrism instead of flat Earth? So, just saying we don't move. He might say, okay, it's a globe, but we don't move, and all that sort of stuff as well. And number two, how readily do you think these three will be ostracized from the flat Earth community if they do come back and say, oh yeah, it was a 24-hour sun?
Yeah, so there is a chance they're going to be ostracized, but it's going to be harder when there's three of them.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be harder to do, but we've already seen a little bit of the ostracizing before they've even gone. So when Jaron simply said, hey guys, I think it's a good idea for us to go to Antarctica with the final experiment, they started calling him a shill. They started calling him a paid opposition. And he's like, whoa, guys, what's going on?
Level Earth Observer has been pretty damning for Jaron, isn't he? And, if there's not a crane there that's got like his little crane thing not moving, he's not going to be happy. Bless him.
Yeah, Level Earth Observer actually released a video recently that I don't understand. Maybe somebody could help me understand it, but he was talking about seeing birds and somehow tied that into whether or not we'll see a 24-hour sun in Antarctica.
No, I'll have to have a look at that. I haven't looked at him for about a week. So I normally wait about a week, 10 days, and then look through like the 7 or 8 videos he's released where he says the word pantomime about 600 times. I'll tell you what, I'm so excited for it. I have to admit, at first, I did think, is it going to get enough traction? But you've done really well with it. You really have. And honestly, it's going to be so exciting to see the results. I made a video today, actually, for the channel, just give my honest thoughts on what I think would happen. And, we've talked about most of it, but I'm really wondering if any mainstream media are going to pick this up. So will the UK media pick it up? Will the US media pick it up? I think they will, but not till after the event and everything's fallen, all the fallout's happened. Have you got any plans to try and sort of push some press releases out for that?
I don't. If I were to make a prediction, I would guess that actually the Australian media might pick it up
Yeah,
first.
that's a fair shout. Yeah.
They seem to have more of an interest in flat Earth. So no, I don't have any plans. What I will say though is that Tim Pool, he's another American political commentator who has a pretty large following. He's now talking about it because he wants to pay for Alex Stein to go with us to Antarctica. And he's publicly said, Alex, if you want to go, and Alex has said, I want to go, he said, I'll write the check. So that is some discussion in the media. And then Candace Owens, that's kind of as far as it's gone so far.
Yeah, well, as I say, I do think it will be picked up, but I think you'll go, everything will happen, the flat earthers will react, there'll be an absolute meltdown on YouTube from every single flat earther I can imagine, and then I think it will be picked up a little bit by the reaction that's happened. Because you see media stories all the time, when SpaceX first started launching and you'd see stories about the flat earthers kicking off about the SpaceX and stuff like that. I think this is bigger, and I think they will pick it up. Fingers crossed they will anyway.
That would be great.
Yeah, it would be fantastic. So I've got a few. I put a post up for the members of the channel to see if they wanted to ask any questions. I've got a couple of questions here for you. One is from You Are Mopped. You did an interview with You Are Mopped, didn't you?
Yes, I did. Yeah, recently.
He's got a couple of questions he said he forgot to ask you. He said, ask him if he thinks Jerren Whitser and Lisbeth will be converted to globe earthers by the time they leave Antarctica.
That's a tough one. When you've held on to something for that long, I don't think you let go of it that quickly.
Yeah.
So the answer is I don't think before they leave, no. Do I think they will eventually? Yes.
Okay, that's fair enough. And he also said, please ask him for me, if those three aren't converted and admit it, is there even a point in carrying on the conversation with them?
Yes. I mean, I consider them friends now. We've interacted a lot planning for this trip and all the lead up to it. So yeah, I'm not going to stop communicating with a friend.
Okay, excellent stuff. I think the three of them will eventually admit it. It will take time. They'll go home. They'll process everything, and I can pretty much guarantee that Jerren will make a video, sort of coming out as a globe earther at some point. I don't necessarily think he'll admit that we're moving and all of that, but he will say that the Earth is spherical. I do think that. I've also got a question from Yunners. So Yunners is a member of the channel. He says, is there any worry that being in a relatively remote place with people that fundamentally disagree with each other will lead to largely awkward and tense experiences for the duration of the trip, at least until they see the 24-hour sun?
I don't think so. And here's why. There's something about engaging with people online that kind of brings out the worst in people, right?
Totally.
And so this digital era that we live in, which was further exacerbated by COVID, which has kept everybody in their homes and everybody's online now, has really just kind of made people treat each other worse. When you're with someone, face to face in person, it's just different. And I think everything's going to be great. We're all going to be together in South America and Chile for a few days before we fly to Antarctica. I think it's going to be all good.
I totally agree with you. And Dave McKeegan and MC Toon and Critical Think are all really level-headed guys. They're not going to, get into any sort of a bother. I think it'll be absolutely fine. Totally agree on that. I always wonder actually what would happen, because obviously I get, as you can imagine, I get quite a lot of abuse online, mainly from people on X, but I always wonder what would happen if I saw a flat earther in real life and how they would react towards me. If I know they wouldn't act as they do online, but I always wonder how they would act. I know there's one that lives about 10 miles from me, so it'd be interesting if I ever bumped into him. But
yeah, if you bumped into him on a run or something.
Yeah, that's it. Anyway, Will, I'm not going to say I'm got everything crossed for you because I know it's going to be fine. But I hope the trip is absolutely fantastic. Thanks so much for organising it. It really is a great idea. And I absolutely look forward to the fallout that's going to inevitably happen.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll keep you updated for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And I will be, as I said to my subscribers today when I made the video, I'll be keeping everyone updated on what happens. And hopefully I can, I don't know what the signal's going to be out there, but if I can keep in contact with Dave and MC Toon, that would be fantastic. But we'll see what happens. Will, thanks so much, everyone. If you want to check it out, you got a website for it, Will?
Yeah, it's thefinalexperiment.com with dashes in it. So the-final-experiment.com.
Okay. Brilliant. I'll put that link in the description. So check it out for yourselves. I'll put the links for every channel who I know that is going, so you can check out their stuff as well. Have a look. It's going to be a great trip. And as I said, I'm eagerly excited for the results. Thanks so much, Will. Appreciate you joining me. Thanks so much, everyone. See you later. Bye-bye.